Good morning. I thought I would share with some of you guys how I make my gluten-free sourdough. So, this is my starter, and I'll do another reel on how to get the starter going. But I don't really measure. I just get about a cup of the starter into my glass or porcelain or not metal bowl. Once you have about a cup of your starter in your mixing bowl, which how cute is this mixing bowl? I love this one. I use it all year even though it's Christmas. You take your all-purpose gluten-free flour. I use the King Arthur brand and I order it on Subscribe and Save from Amazon. Get about a cup to feed it back into your starter. And then about 3 cups into your bread that you're mixing. So there's 1, 2, 3. That's the flour. Next step, I take my sea salt. I use fine sea salt from Trader Joe's. And again, I'm so bad. I don't like measuring anything in life. It's a little more than a tablespoon of salt. That felt like a lot to me at first, but honestly, it makes it taste really good. And if you use sea salt, you're getting some minerals, so it's not too bad for you. And it actually, I find that I need salt in my diet to keep me hydrated. And then the next step, start with a little bit less than a cup of water, filtered water, and pour that into your starter. Now this is just how you keep your starter going so you can make another loaf. And you're gonna mix it until it's the consistency kind of like toothpaste. And you wanna keep mixing until the little lumps are pretty much out. And I kind of use, you can see how I use the spatula to scrape down the sides and dig out the bottom. So it just gets mixed together well. This is getting pretty close, and this time I do not need to add more water. Sometimes I do, depending on how dry it is, but you can see the consistency. This still has a few lumps, so I'm gonna mix it a little bit more. Honestly, it's probably not a big deal if some lumps of flour are left, but I just do my best to get them all. Okay, and so now that our starter is ready to go for the next round, we take water, and remember in this mixture we have about a cup of starter, about 3 cups of flour, and about a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of sea salt. So I always start with about 2 cups of water. Just pour it in. Okay, here's my 2nd cup of water, and then I'm gonna start mixing. And I just kind of scrape around the sides and dig up the bottom. And honestly, usually 2 cups of water isn't quite enough, but what I'm looking for is consistency. I want it not to be too dry and not to be too wet. I want it basically to be able to form a blob that mostly keeps its shape. This is actually looking pretty good. I don't think I'll need to add very much more water. I might add another tablespoon or so, but I'll keep mixing and then I'll show you what it looks like. It's looking pretty good. See that? It's still a little, there's a little bit of areas that are a little crusty still. So I'm kind of trying to see if I can smooth those out. I feel like this is still gonna be a little too dry, so I think I'm gonna add another tablespoon of water. You don't wanna add too much. This is really close to right though. I mean, like honestly, this would come out fine, but I like a little bit wetter than this. Okay, I've added my tablespoon of water. I'm just kind of folding it over and mixing it. I'm hoping you can see what the consistency looks like here. Notice as I mix, the lumps go away, and I really try to scrape up the bottom so that we have an even mixture. Oh, that was really good. It's okay to make a mess, guys. Okay, so you're basically gonna mix it and then form it so that it looks kind of like this. I always scrape down the sides too. The shape doesn't matter too much at this point, but the shape shows you that your consistency is right. See how it kind of holds its shape a little bit? And then one more step for this part of the training. Last step in this part is to just cover it gently. You can honestly cover it with a towel or something else if you'd like, but I kind of have fun watching it rise. That's the fun part for me. So I use saran wrap. It's best if it's not totally airtight, but honestly the saran wrap it'll flex a little bit if it needs to. So you take this and you put it on your counter and leave it there for 8 hours. And the rest of the process will be in my next videos.